Hi, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. I think we can get started. So this is going to be an introductory session to Salesforce Sales Cloud. So there are two reasons you might be joining this session today, and you probably fall into one of these categories. So number one, you have already purchased an edition of Sales Cloud and you want a bit of a guided tour of the functionality. Or number two, you are new to Salesforce altogether and want to understand the benefits. So almost all businesses start out with Sales Cloud and expand from there, which is a great strategy as every organization will be able to use Sales Cloud, albeit in different ways, to manage their pipeline and revenue. We'll start with an intro. So I'm Lauren Tovey. I'm a marketing manager at Performer, and I'll be hosting this session today. And I'm joined by my brilliant colleague, Nina.
Hi everyone, I'm Nina. I'm a Salesforce consultant at Performer. I'll be taking you through the live demo of a typical Salesforce setup later on and then answering any questions at the end. So pop anything you'd like to ask down in the questions tab on the right-hand side.
Great, thanks Nina. So the plan for today is to give a little overview of Salesforce and Sales Cloud for those who are new to the ecosystem. I'll then hand over to Nina to walk you through the core functionality of Sales Cloud and to give you an idea of the typical journey that a prospect might go through. We'll then take you through why you might want to work with a partner and how we can help you get Sales Cloud up and running if you are starting off on the Salesforce platform, with a chance to ask Nina some questions at the end. So hopefully that sounds like a plan. For those who are new to Salesforce, you probably have a good idea of why you need a CRM and maybe then why Salesforce is the leading platform. But as an overview, Salesforce forms a suite of tools that allows you to run your business entirely from one platform. So every department and team in your business can use Salesforce to work faster and more efficiently, whether it's finance, marketing, leadership, etc. We've got some benefits here on the screen. But at its core, Salesforce provides one single source of truth, so a unified picture of your customer and their exact wants and needs and behaviors. And even if you're using external tools and applications, you can integrate them with Salesforce to ensure that there are no silos or wasted resources and effort. In fact, the Salesforce ecosystem is now so broad that they no longer refer to themselves as a CRM, rather a digital labor or digital workforce platform from which you can grow and run your entire business. Sales Cloud specifically focuses on revenue management, prospecting, lead nurture, stakeholder management, sales performance, and operations, although you can customize and develop Sales Cloud to perform a whole host of other functions like asset management or project management, for example. That's a great thing about this tech. You can think of it as Lego that you can build to meet any design or requirement. So quickly here, there are some short descriptions of the key components of Sales Cloud. So for those who don't know, we have leads, so potential customers who've shown interest but aren't yet qualified, opportunities, which are sales deals you're tracking through to close, accounts, who are companies or individuals that you do business with, objects, so these are containers for storing data like a spreadsheet tab, for example, leads and opportunities, and fields, which are individual pieces of data in an object like an email or a close date, for example. Nina will take you through how all of these things tie in together in a minute. So what we're going to do today is go through Grace's Sales Cloud implementation. Our fictional Salesforce customer here owns Grace and Graze, a catering company specializing in grazing boards for events. Grace here wants to use Sales Cloud to capture and track inquiries from wedding expos, social media, or her website. She wants Salesforce to help manage follow-ups so no potential customer slips through the cracks. Grace also needs a way to track stage, value, and likelihood of closing for each booking or opportunity to aid planning resources and forecasting revenue. She wants to maintain detailed records of recurring clients like venues or event planners, including preferences, past orders, and contact details all in one place, tracking which event types bring in the most revenue, how long it takes to close deals, and which lead sources are performing best, helping her make better decisions. Grace and Grace also need to set reminders to follow up on tastings, send quotations, or confirm dietary requirements. So this is going to keep her organized during busy seasons. And Grace finally also wants to check client information, update opportunities, or send quotes straight from her phone when out making deliveries, meaning that she wants to make good use of the mobile application. So we're going to go over to Nina now to see how Grace can run her business from Salesforce.
Great, thanks, Lauren. So I will just share my screen. So let's dive into the demo. As Lauren said, we're going to look at Grace and Grace, which is a small catering company, and how they book an event for a corporate company, and how they capture and store all this relevant information for the booking within Salesforce. So first of all, we land on what we call the homepage. So I'll just show you a little bit of navigation around Salesforce, and then we'll get stuck into the lead and how we get stuck into that process. So first of all, you land on the homepage, which is here, and you'll see a number of different widgets, components, buttons, and search bars. So I'll start with this part here. So on the homepage, we can see we've got a number of different widgets. This is fully customizable per user, per profile, so we can have each user see something completely different. So here we've got a company performance dashboard. This is a number of reports that make up visual components to this dashboard. And then on the right-hand side, we've got some recent records. So the user may have been working within Salesforce yesterday. They've been clicking around different records. If you want to access one of the records you was recently on, you could just come to your homepage and look down your recent records. You can also click View All, which then expands this view. We've then got today's tasks. So we can see here already, I've got a callback set for today that I would have scheduled in the past. So that's a good way of knowing what's on your list of things to do today, whether it's to send some emails, make some calls, and you can go directly to that task and you'll be able to access all the notes and know exactly who you're calling. And from here as well, you can access their phone number and personal details. Then across the top here, we've got some tabs. So we can see that there are a number of different objects. This is what we call objects that Lauren just briefly went through, which we will go through in more detail. This is fully customizable as well. So depending on what that user has permission to, they can then edit the order or they can add more items to this list. So if they want tasks to appear higher up, they can move tasks. If you want to add more items, you can search for all the items you have access to, and then you can just simply press add and add nav item and save. So that's also fully customizable. You've then got here on the left-hand side, this 9 dots. This is what we call the app launcher. So within Salesforce, there's a number of different apps available. Each user may have access to different ones. We may have one in this org for marketing, one for sales. So you can switch between the two, meaning the view will be completely different on each one of those apps, depending on what you're doing. You can also press View All, and that will also show you at the top here are all your apps that you have access to, and at the bottom are all the objects you also have access to. So if you're not seeing an object across the top of the tabs here, you can go into your app launcher and search for it here. You can also type it in and narrow it down. Then across the top here, we've got a global search box. So in here, we may want to just search for a record, but we don't know the exact details of the record. We may just have a name. So if I type in, for example, Tessa, that will then bring up all the relevant information and records to do with Tessa. So if I type, let's say Sam, you can see Sam is a shortened version of the name Samantha. So it also brings up anything to do with that contains the word Sam. So it breaks it down as well into different objects. So it breaks it down to contacts, all relevant leads, people, reports, files, dashboards, and so on. You can also narrow that down in the search bar by selecting exactly what you want to view. So if I just want to see all the contacts that are Sam, I can just press search and that will just bring up contacts. So you can really play around with the search bar there as well. We then have on the top right-hand side a settings cog. So in here is the setup menu. This takes us to the back end of Salesforce where all the configuration and settings and setup is done. So generally speaking, this will be your administrator who has access to this area. And in here, they can access all their company information. They can access all the user information. If somebody's locked out of Salesforce, they'd come here to reset their password as well. So this is generally an area for the administrators to come. They would also do all the configuration of all the objects, the fields, and the page layouts as well. And then far right, we have an avatar here where you can also add a profile picture of yourself. So this is the user settings. And in here, if we go into settings, there's a number of different settings each user can come in and amend themselves. So for example, you can change your password. You've got email settings in here. So if I go to my email settings, you can also add, for example, an email signature. So you can send emails directly from Salesforce, from the records, whether that be the contact or the lead. And then when you open the email pop-up window, it will automatically have your email signature within the body of the email. So each time you send an email from Salesforce, it will automatically populate with who the contact is sending it to, and it will automatically have your signature in there. So there's a number of different settings in here that you can also edit. Okay, so that's some basic navigation around Salesforce and settings. So now let's start by looking at the lead process. So if I click on leads, this is generally where the process starts in Salesforce. So leads is a person or a company that's maybe expressed interest in your product or service, but they've not yet been qualified or converted into a contact and account. So these leads are typically acquired through marketing efforts. They need to be assessed to determine if they're a good fit for your sales process. But generally speaking, leads serve as a starting point in the sales pipeline. So you're just capturing initial interest and information about that potential customer. So here we've got Tessa Smith. This is a lead we're currently working on. Tessa works at Secret Escapes, where she has the title of Head of Events. And she is organising a summer office party, a corporate event, and she's looking to have some food and drink at the event. And we are capturing some information here. So as we land on this page, you can see here across the top, we've got some what we call a highlights panel, which is some high-level information about that customer, things we want to see at a quick glance, so we don't have to scroll down the page. Again, you can add more to this part here. We've then got some buttons across the top where we can either press edit, which opens the lead up in a pop-out window where we can then edit a number of the fields. You can add notes to this lead where they will always be stored on the lead. And anyone who has access to the lead will then also be able to view those. You can delete, you can change the owner of the lead. So if this person working at Grace and Gray's, if they leave and the lead needs to be assigned to somebody else, that can be done there. And we can also clone and do a number of different other things there. Then across the top, we've got here what we call a path. So this is the status of where this lead is. So it always starts off as new. We then were working on this lead. We've now qualified it. And as we can see, we've got a callback today scheduled. So I think after that callback, once we confirm a few more details with Tessa, we'd be looking to convert this lead. Again, we can edit all the stages. This is fully customizable depending on what your process is and what you do at your company. So we've captured some information here of Tessa's. We've got her phone number, we've got her email, her address and website. We're also tracking things like lead source. So when and if this does turn into a sale, we can always see where this potential customer came from. So we can track our marketing efforts and see where we're spending our money and where it's being best used. What type of industry this company is. So we've got a number of different options here. This is what we call a pick list field. So we can add to this list, we can remove, and we can deactivate if we don't need some of these as well. We also then have a section here where we've added for catering information. So as you can see here, we can add multiple options, which is a multi-pick list field. and also here for the dietary requirements, as there may be more than one dietary requirement for this booking. We've then got an event information section. So here we can see what the event date and time will be, and the budget of that event. I've added a description here, so it's a little summary of it's an event for 200 guests at a corporate office party for summer. The budget is £700 for food and drink. We've then got a contact preferences section. So if this person does not wish to be called, or they wish to opt out of emails or fax opt out, just to keep with GDPR there as well. So let's say we've now spoken to Tessa. She's happy to move this along the line. We're now going to convert this lead. So what this will do is create an account, a contact, and an opportunity. So the contact in Salesforce is where we store individuals' demographic information, such as their phone numbers, email addresses, and then the contacts are linked to the account. And then the account is what represents the company or the organization or individual that you're doing business with or intend to do business with. So the account serves as a central hub for storing information about your customer or partner. And the accounts store key data about your customers, including the contact information, their business details, and other relevant information. So accounts are linked to contacts, which are people within the company. And these can be associated with opportunities, cases, and other records. So you can get from one record to another by clicking through and not having to go back to the homepage or the search bar and search for things. The opportunity is essentially the deal in progress, so where you're actively working towards closing that sale. So opportunities are more qualified than leads, and these include details like the related account, when we expect to close that opportunity and that potential sale, and the potential revenue attached to that opportunity as well. So we now want to convert this. So if I click on the converted and select the converted status, it then gives us the option whether we want to create a new contact account and opportunity, or whether we want to link it to an existing account, contact, or opportunity. So this may be somebody coming back. We've done business with them before. They already have an account in Salesforce. So you can have multiple opportunities linked to that account, and the contact obviously would already exist as well. So for this one, this is a brand new account that we don't have in Salesforce. We've never worked with them before. And if I click on opportunity, we can also decide what type of opportunity it is. So we can have different record types. So the record type being different pages, depending on what type of booking we are doing. So for catering, we can have different fields appear on this page layout compared to maybe a page for a different type of booking. So we've selected catering, we've selected new account, new contact, and opportunity. Now all we have to do is convert. So now what this is doing in the background is essentially the lead will disappear in the background. We now have these 3 new records. The information that we did capture on the lead will not be lost. We can map that to either be carried across to the account, the contact, or the opportunity. So we may choose lead source to go to opportunity, but some of the other information to go between the account and the contact. So you can choose where that information goes across these 3 objects. So nothing is lost. Okay, so let's go into the account first of all. So we can see activity got carried across. Like I said, you won't lose it. So we can still keep track of all the emails that we sent, all the calls that were logged. Again, anybody that has access to this record will be able to see all of this down here as well. We've still got account name, but then we have additional fields that we may want to capture information on the account. So what region is this? Where is this company in the region? We can add information. And again, the more information you capture on each one of these records, the better the reporting will be at the end. So if I press save, we then have on this page what we call a related tab. So if I click on related, this is anything related to this account. So we can see already we've got a contact related to this account, which was Tessa, which is the contact we just created by converting the lead. We can attach files here. So we can maybe attach terms and conditions, signed documents back from the customer. We've got an invoice object here as well. And then we've got the opportunity that was also created. And you'll see a number of different other objects down here. So we can do orders, quotes, and then you'll also see account history. So anything changing on the account, we can track to see who changed it, what was changed, and the date and time it was changed as well. So let's go to the contact. And this is now the contacts page. So again, we've got all Tessa's information. We've got some additional fields if we want to add more information to the contact. But for now, we've got enough information on Tessa. And again, all the activity also sits on this contact as well. So whether you're on the contact or the account, this is linked to both. You've also got the activity widget. So if you are having further phone calls or emails between yourself and Tessa, you can log that here. So we've got log a call, which opens up and you can select call and then you type in what the call was about. So that's a call that happened there and then. You've then got send an email. So again, it populates automatically with the to address and it will be from yourself in Salesforce. You can enter a subject, enter the body of the email. You can attach files and you can also change the font and size and things here as well. So that will be sent directly from Salesforce. And then you can also set yourself a task. So this is something for the future. So whether that's a reminder to send a quote via an email, send a letter, make a phone call. Once you put that in there, you can add a due date, and that's what appears on your homepage on that day in today's tasks. Or you can access the task object where you'll be able to see all your up and coming tasks as well. So you can always have your day prepped, ready to go of all the reminders you need for that day. So from here, we will go to the opportunity. So if we scroll down on the related list of the contact, we can get to the opportunity. So in here, we can rename the opportunity. So we can say that this is a corporate event. Just because if there were future opportunities to come through, we would then know the difference between all the different ones. So you could say it's a corporate event and you could also give it the date of when the event is. What the type of event is, what the type of opportunity is, sorry. So new business. Event type. So we've got different ones here. Is it a wedding, corporate, festival, private party? So for this, we're doing a corporate one. What the amount is. So it was £700. Event date and time. So we can set the date and time here. Number of guests that we're looking to cater for. And again, these have carried across from the lead. So that information has come through, whether it's an indoor or outdoor event. So the more information you capture, the better the reporting as well. So the deposit of £50 has been paid. So they've got £650 left to pay. So we can just add some financial information as well, which is due the week before the event. We can also then pop in here next steps, which is just a text box and a description of the opportunity as well. And again, at the top, we've got our stages. So we can say now that we've done the discovery, proposal and quote was sent, they're happy, they've paid the deposit, we've negotiated it, we're just waiting for the outstanding balance. So today the outstanding balance was paid, so we now want to close this off. So if we select close, it will give you an option. Do you want to change the status to close won or close lost? Close lost being you don't want to leave open opportunities in the system. If it's a deal that's not going to close, we just close lost it. Again, we can report on all those close lost numbers as well. So for this one, we'll put close won. I'm just going to change the owner, which then takes us onto our reporting. So if we go to forecasts, and we select May to June, and if I click on June, we can now see that that opportunity is appearing in June's forecast. So this is looking at closed opportunities, close 1, and we can see that that's been added. So we can break it down by month. We can break it down by user, so per Salesforce user, what each person's doing, and you can select the user. And we are looking at our revenue-based forecasting. And also the time frame, again, you can just select, if you just want to do June to June, just for this month, that will then change it, and it will just show us these ones here. And from here, you can go back into the opportunity and review all the information that we have in there to see more details. Okay, so also then we looked at the home page, which was a dashboard. So this is a company performance dashboard. It's made up of a number of different reports. So behind each one of these sits a report. So if I click on view report on marketing lead by source, what this does is opens up the report that makes up those numbers on that chart. So if I click on the filter, what this report is showing me is all leads, and the date frame is current and next financial quarter. And it's showing me how many leads are associated to each lead source. So if we go into another one, for example, lead by lead status. This is a chart at the top, and then it shows us all the lead records that sit within this report. So we can see by month, April, May, June, how many are at each status for each month. It gives you the totals at the bottom. And like I said, at the bottom, you can then click into the individual lead records as well. Okay, so then if we go back to our opportunity, we also have something called campaigns within Salesforce. So campaign is a Salesforce object used to track and manage marketing efforts. So it's a group of leads and contacts exposed to specific marketing communications. So the campaigns can help track the effectiveness of marketing initiatives. So emails being sent out, providing the insights into our lead generation. So pipeline and deals, meaning sales teams can quickly see the customers and prospects that received marketing activity and who then actually turned into a sale and was successful. So if we go to campaigns, we've got a campaign here that's active called All Email Marketing. And if we click into it, what we can see is we've got some campaign members in here and their statuses. So if we click on, you've got add leads and add contacts. So it's just leads and contacts associated with campaigns. If we go to add leads, we can see there's this person here that's not in there. So if I want to add them in, I can press next. It then asks me to select a member status. So if I was sending out an email, what status would I want this member to be in as? So I'd put them as sent. When they then either engage in that email or reply to the email, we can then change their status to responded. So we know who is actively engaging with that campaign. If you was holding an event, an in-person event or an expedition, you could maybe have member statuses as invited, did not attend, attended. So you can keep track of exactly which members are, like I say, engaging in your campaign, and then who then turned into a sale from that initial marketing effort. From here as well, we can send a list email. So if we are running a campaign and we want to send the same email to that group of people, we can click on here and press send list email. What this does is add all the recipients into this 2 box here. It's related to this campaign. So when they engage, it will be updating their statuses within this campaign, and we'll be able to see how much people are engaging. And then all you need to do is add your subject, your body of the email, and you can either press send or you can save it as a draft if you're still working on something. But again, you can attach files into this and you can change, it's rich text, so you can change font and size. And then when you go to the details of the campaign, you'll be able to see things like how many leads are associated with this, what was the value of the opportunities that were won from this campaign. So if those leads then convert into opportunities and then they are closed won, they'd be attributed back to this campaign. So you can track all of that as well. Okay, so then there's one last thing, which is the App Exchange. This is where we can install Salesforce apps and integrate them within the system. So there may be, there's a number of different ones available to you. So if you search in Google App Exchange, that will take you to the Salesforce App Exchange website. And in here, you can search for a number of different ones. So for example, Grace and Grays may want to use something called DocuSign. This is where they can get e-signatures for their orders and quotes, where they can get customers to sign contracts electronically and then get them sent back directly into Salesforce. These would all then be attached to the records within Salesforce, as they don't have sales reps going out to see the customers to get these documents signed. So they may want to use DocuSign. And then after they've completed with that customer, they've done the event, they've served the food, they may want to send out a survey just to see how they can improve their business. So there's something called SurveyMonkey on the App Exchange, and it tells you whether it's a paid app or whether it's a free app. Some are free, some are paid. It gives you a demo of what it does, gives you an explanation, description of what it is, how it works, gives you reviews, details, and an overview. And then all you need to do is when you press Get It Now, you would log into your Salesforce system and you would install the app within the system. And then there may be some further configuration specifically for this app to get it up and running within Salesforce. But again, they'd have all the details on here for that as well. So that brings us to the end of the demo. I'll now hand back over to Lauren.
Thank you, Nina. Following that, just quickly, it would be great to understand what you would say are your top 3 tips for foundational Salesforce setup.
Yeah, I'd say one of them being how you want to measure your KPIs, which is always a big one for companies. So you can plan for this at the start and ahead of the build. So at the end, you have all the necessary information in Salesforce to report on. So as I said, it's very important to make sure you capture all the relevant information to be able to then report on that at the end.
Fab.
The second one I'd say would be data cleanse is a big one. So a lot of customers may be working on a current CRM system, moving from one CRM to Salesforce, or they may be using Excel spreadsheets to capture their data, and they're now looking to use Salesforce. Ensuring your data is clean, removing any duplicate records you may have, so that the format is then consistent with the information you're capturing going forward. So you've always got clean data within the system. And then I'd say the last one would be a clear sales process. So where I showed you, there can be different stages on like a lead or an opportunity, making sure you capture the relevant information at each stage so you can make sure that you can't move on to the next stage until you've captured all the mandatory relevant information from the stage before. Just keeps it clear and ensure everyone's working in a consistent way in the sales team.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that planning is really important, and it's definitely something a partner can help with, which segues nicely into this section. If you have any questions regarding the demo, please do pop them in the questions tab at the bottom of your screens. So hopefully you can understand how Sales Cloud can form the basis on which to run your business. Why then might you need a partner? So in short, the benefits of a partner are faster time to value, so essentially the speed that you get up and running, avoiding the common mistakes with advice from certified pros who've done it all before, customization, so tailoring Salesforce to your unique processes and goals. We saw the standard setup with Nina today, but there's still some customization involved. On the opportunity object, we saw that there were dietary requirements in there. There were different opportunity types, event types. So really kind of the world's your oyster with Salesforce. You can really customize it to be exactly what you need and exactly what every single department needs. Another one is stronger user adoption. So user adoption is everything with technology. Getting that training, support, and a setup that your team actually wants and likes to use will make it the most successful it can be. Scalability from day one, helping get, building it right the first time so that it grows with your business and doesn't accumulate technical debt. And that's something a partner can really help with. connecting Salesforce with all of your other systems, like Nina showed just now on the App Exchange. So email, finance, marketing systems, legacy systems, applications. A partner can really bring that sort of external skill to help you do that fluidly. And if you don't have the technical resources in-house and you don't want to hire a permanent team or more permanent staff, ongoing support from a partner if you need it for optimization, updates, and evolving needs can be really, really helpful. So speaking of getting up and running, we have our quick start offer up on the screen here. This one is based on under 50 users, but essentially this package gets you all set up with Sales Cloud. It's an implementation to hit the ground running on day one. If you're interested in implementations or support or enhancements, you can use the QR code on the next slide, I think, to get in touch. Yeah, so here it is. Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you to Nina for building and running the demo. If you want to learn more about any of the solutions we've spoken about today, you can get in touch using the QR or head to our website. And all that's left to do is check the questions tab. Okay, so how long does implementation typically take?
I'd say this would take around 2 to 3 weeks for a quick start. This would be maybe under 50 users, but the speed really depends on level of engagement from your stakeholders and the level of customization required within the Sales Cloud.
Yeah, definitely. Can we tailor dashboards and reports for different roles within the business? So, for example, sales reps, managers, and executives.
Yeah, definitely. We can customize dashboards and reports and use them as running users. So like I said, on the homepage, you can have each user have a completely different dashboard display on their homepage. If we use running users, essentially the dashboard's data will be presented as if defined running user were viewing it, but even though the actual viewer of the dashboard might be somebody else. So this allows for the data to be tailored to specific roles or teams without needing duplicate and separate reports for each user. So we can also have a different dashboard for each user on their homepage, making it completely customizable.
Cool. And who can see what on the same vein? How do we control access for different teams or regions, for example?
Yeah, so there's a number of different ways we can do this. We can use profiles, roles, sharing rules, groups, and permission sets to control the different access. So really, whether we lock it down to particular records or whether we're locking down objects, it allows you to lock down the system as much as you need to. So it's really dependent on each individual's preferences and how much that system is locked down. And again, the administrator would then have access to open up permissions or further lock down that system and maintain that going forward.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nina. I think that's it for the questions. And I just wanted to add as well that I know a lot of sort of SME customers would be looking at this sort of content if they're starting out with Salesforce. And I think Sales Cloud is brilliant because you can really grow into it. And although in future you might need to use Salesforce products like Marketing Cloud, for example, to sort of reach out and engage with your customers on a better level, you can still use a lot of the functionality in Sales Cloud that Nina showed us earlier to really kickstart that growth and scale, and then you can add as you go along. And it really is fully customizable in that respect. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today, and thanks again, Nina, for your help with the demo. If you want to get in touch, scan the QR or visit our website, and we hope to see you in future sessions.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye all.